Hello students, today we shall study the poem God Met the Country written by William Cowper. Before we go to the poem, let me give you a brief introduction of the poet William Cowper. William Cowper is a romantic poet, a poet of nature. So unlike any other romantic poets, he has a deep love and a deep respect for nature, and he considered nature as a great teacher. Even in this poem, God Met the Country, William Cowper has wonderfully and beautifully written about the beauty of nature by drawing a distinction between a town and a countryside. Now let us go to the poem. Okay, so the first line, God met the country and men met the town. God met the country. Country here refers to village or countryside. So now, the poet says that God met the country. Let us reason out as to why the poet believes or the poet says that God met the country. So when it comes to countryside, everything is fair and beautiful and pure. The air, water, food, and natural sceneries all are self-spontaneous. Artificial things are very rare there in the countryside. That is why the poet says that God met the country, because it is filled with natural surrounding, beautiful sceneries, which is a beautiful creation of God. And now, the second part, and men met the town. Now the poet again says that it is man who met the town. It is God who met the country, and it is man who met the town. Now our question is, why does the poet say that man met the town? Yes. So when we look at a township is built in an artificial way. We all live in a town, and everything that we use here in town are all artificial things. The food we use and the material, everything that we use are artificially processed. Even we use the air, we use air blown by an electric fan, we use water drawn from an electric pump, toothbrush made of synthetics, etc. And we even mechanize our character. So not to speak of certain things, but everything that we have here or everything that we use here in town are artificially met. That is why the poet says that men met the town. We shall go to the next line. Okay, now, the following lines. What wonder then that health and virtue gives? Now, the poet starts with an interrogation. What? Questioning us. What is wondering you? Or why are you wondering? No, we should not wonder. That is what the poet means. Why? Because health and virtue gives. Because we should not wonder. Why? Because the countryside has given to us the gift of health and virtue. Here, health stands for physical fitness, and virtue. Virtue stands for our moral uprightness. So in the countryside, we have the gift of health and virtue. Now the following lines, that can alone make sweet the bitter draught that life holds out to all. That here refers to health and virtue. Alone means single, just one, and bitter draught. Bitter draught meaning is miseries and suffering in our life. Miseries and suffering in our life. Bitter draught. And life holds out to all. Means our life is full of miseries and suffering. So what does the poet mean here? The poet says that it is only health and virtue. It is only health and virtue that is going to give us sweetness or happiness of life, where our life holds out to bitter drought. Our life holds out to miseries and suffering, and the sweetness or the happiness of life we can find is from this health and virtue. Only health and virtue can give us the sweetness and happiness of our life. You know, our life is not a bed of roses. We all have good times and bad times. We have sadness, happiness. And so in our sad times, what is going to give us happiness in our life? It is health and virtue. So the poet is saying, why should we wander? We should not wander at all. We should be happy because in the countryside, we have health and virtue. Should most abound and least be threatened in the fields and groves. Abound means in plenty or in abundant, and least be threatened in the fields and groves. Fields and groves symbolize nature or countryside. So in the countryside, we have in abundant. What is that we have in abundant? We have health and virtue in abundant or in plenty. So there is no fear of losing health and virtue in the countryside, as the people of the countryside work and remain under the care and love of nature. So the poet says, we should not wonder when we are in the countryside. Why? Because we have health and virtue. That is enough for a happy life. Now we shall go to the next. Okay, so in the above lines, the poet gives us a brief description of the simplicity of the life of the countryside and the quality of life, which is pure and honest in the countryside. Now, in the following lines, the poet expresses his wants and desires, which he wants the town people to know or to have it. Now, let us go to the lines. Possess ye, therefore, ye who borne about in chariots and sedans. Possess ye. Possess ye means to have it, to have. Ye is the plural form of you, and born. Born here means to take the support of, and chariots and sedans. These two here are the symbol of rich and power, which means refers to the rich and powerful people living in towns and cities. So now, possess ye, you should have it. Who were born, who took the support of living in chariots and sedans, who are living in towns and cities, you should have it. So now the question is, what does the poet wants them, wants the powerful and rich people living in towns and cities to have? The answer is, he wants the rich and powerful people living in town and cities to have the quality of life, which is pure and honest. And he also wants them to have this simplicity of the countryside. Now, no fatigue, but that of idleness. Meaning is, those people living in town and cities, those rich and powerful people, they do not know what fatigue is, what tiredness is. Why? Because they are not doing any work to cause any physical exhaustion. So they do not know what fatigue is. But they do know one thing. What is that? That of idleness. They do not know what fatigue is, but they do know what idleness is. And test no sins, but such as art contrives, possess ye still your element. Means, and test no sins. Means, the people living in towns and cities, they do not know the beauty that nature gives out to all of us, because they have never seen the beauty of nature before their eyes. So they have never seen the beauty of nature. But such as art contrives. Art means artificial, contrives means cunningly made. But such as art contrives means, but they do know the beauty of artificial things, which is cunningly made. Possess ye still your element. And they still possess only artificial things. There is no natural things in them, but only artificial things. And their elements, all of their elements are filled with only artificial things. There only can ye shine, there only minds like yours can do no harm. There refers to countryside. Only can ye shine. Ye here refers to the people of the town, okay? The rich and powerful people living in town and cities. Now, the meaning is, if the people of the town and city happens to see the beauty of the countryside or happens to see the beauty of nature in the countryside, then their life will be glorified. Their life will begin to shine. And their only minds like yours can do no harm. The minds of the people living in towns and cities are filled with harming, how to harm others, how to destroy, destructive mind they have. So now the poet says that there means if they happens to see the beauty of the nature in the countryside, then the ill feeling of harming others will be away from them. And they will not feel or they will not want to harm anyone, but on the contrary, their life will be glorified, their life will be freshened up, and their life will begin to shine day by day. And they will start to love nature. They will start to see the beauty of nature. Okay, now in the few following lines, the poet turns toward the countryside, and he is going to express the simplicity and the harmonious life of the countryside. Now, our groves were planted to console at noon the pensive wanderer in their sheds. Our here refers to the people of the countryside. Groves mean the trees. Now, the poet says that the people of the countryside plant trees in order to give comfort to the pensive wanderer, to the tired travelers or the laborious villagers during the noontime under the shades of the tree. And at eve, the moonbeam sliding softly and between the sleeping leaves is all the light they wish. Now the poet displays a beautiful picture of the England countryside in the evening. So now, what do the village people do or the countryside people do in the evening? In the evening, they will watch the beautiful moonlight which is sliding and which is moving slowly in between the sleeping leaf. And the poet also says that the people of the countryside, they doesn't need or they doesn't wish or they don't need any bigger or brighter light. They only wish to have this single moonlight which gives out its sufficient cold light at night. They don't wish for other light, but they only wish to have this moonbeam, moonlight. Birds warbling all the music. Now, in the countryside, the whole air is filled with harmonious and beautiful voices of the birds singing different music, cherishing the soul of the people of the countryside. We can spare the splendor of your lamps, they but eclipse our softer satellite. We refers to the people of the countryside. Spare means not in use at present, but keeping for future use. And splendor means magnificently beautiful. Your lamps, your refers to the town people lamp. They means the lamps of the town people. Eclipse means to shine more better or to overshadow. And softer satellite here refers to moonlight, moon. Okay. Now, we can spare the splendor of your lamps, they but eclipse our softer satellite. The poet says that the poet has never mentioned that he don't like the magnificent, beautiful lamp in the town. He says the lamps found in the town are magnificently beautiful, but the people of the countryside prefer to ignore it for a while. because they are very much contented, they are very much satisfied with the cold moonlight which they receive every night. And the poet also says that those very beautiful things found in the town, like magnificent lamps, always in one way or the other gives bad effect to the countryside. So, while the people of the countryside are happy, are satisfied with what kind of light they have, the town people lamp, magnificently beautiful and bright lamp, come and overshadow the beautiful moonlight and darken the countryside. Your songs confound our more harmonious notes. The thrush departs scared, and the offended nightingale is mute. Now, in the following lines, the poet expresses the effect of the artificial music towards the natural singers, birds. Now, your songs confound. Confound means confuse our more harmonious notes. Meaning is, the poet says that the artificial music of the town confused the natural singers, birds, which could produce more harmonious notes than the town music. And the thrush departs, scared. The thrush means it's a songbird. The songbird, thrush, departs, went away. Why? Because they are frightened, they are scared. They are frightened and scared by town music, so they went away. And the offended nightingale is mute. Now, even the nightingale stopped singing. Why? Because the artificial music, the town artificial music is too loud and people don't hear the nightingale sing. And so the nightingale is offended, and now nightingale refused to sing. There is public mischief in your mirth, it plagues your country. Mirth here means merriment or merrymaking. Plagues here refers to destroy or destruction. Now, the town people enjoy the ways of life which the world has offered, and now, whenever there is merrymaking or whenever there is merriment, the town people make merry with mischievous behavior and with mischievous activities. And so now, therefore, the poet warns the town people that their own merriment is soon going to destroy their own country. Meaning is, the mirth of the town people is soon going to destroy or bring destruction to the whole of English, to the whole of the British Empire. Now, folly such as yours, graced with a sword and worthier of a fan. Folly such as yours. Now, what does the poet mean here? During the poet's time, men came out in the open carrying sword under their belt. It was fashion of that time, and men thought that carrying sword under their belt and going out in the open is a matter of pride and grace. But here, the poet says that carrying a sword is never a matter of pride and grace, but it is foolishness. Now, grace with a sword and worthier of a fan. Now, the poet further suggests that human should be carrying fan, which comfort other fellow human beings, and not carry sword, which kills other fellow human beings. Okay, has met which enemies could ne'er have done. The poet means that the mutual hatred, killing and violence caused by the town people have harmed the country more than the action of an open enemy. Okay. Our arch of empire stood fast, but for you a mutilated structure soon to fall. Arch of empire here stands for the place where we live, for the earth where we live. refers to the British Empire, and steadfast means strong, strong. But for you, a mutilated structure soon to fall. Now, the British Empire was made strong from century to century by the forefathers. Yeah. But because of the foolish action of the town people, the one steadfast arch of empire will soon crumble piece by piece, and it will fall down completely very soon. The poet also says that continuous quarrel and fightings against his fellow men will pave the way for the complete breakdown of the society. The poem God Made the Country is an extract from the Task, Book 1. Well, that's the end of the poem. Thank you. See you in the next class.